Hey everybody, welcome back to the Convo Couch. I'm Fiorella.
And I'm Pastor Jardula. Are we even live?
And are we live?
We are live.
We're live.
I don't see it.
Okay.
It could be unlisted. Let me see.
Jonny Sue is also on the ones and twos.
Tuesday.
And we're right here in DC. We're right in front.
It doesn't show it, Pasta?
What's that? Yeah, it's there. I'm
you
sharing it with Mom right now.
Oh, you see it? Okay.
Yes, we're live.
We are live. It's good.
Look, we know that this is going to be a short show. We just wanted to update you guys. We know Jimmy's live. We just wanted to talk about what we're doing, what we did today. We got here to DC a couple hours ago. We went straight to the Assange vigil. That was what we could make. We heard about Force the Vote and how great it went, and we're going to be there tomorrow morning. We're going to be speaking. We're going to be supporting, covering the actions, interviewing people, talking to people. And then, of course, we will also cover the Assange protest actions. And then there's also going to be Stop the Steal on the 6th, and we're going to be covering that also on the 5th. So yeah, that's why we're here. We're here on the ground, and we can't wait for tomorrow and to see how that goes. But there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about today. Yesterday or earlier today, we were with Action for Assange. We did a show with them. They were awesome. We had a lot of great conversations, fam. And one of those conversations was about the Medicare for All Force the Vote battle between Jimmy Dore and AOC, even though it shouldn't be a battle between them. We saw what AOC said, basically blaming these pro-Medicare for All Jimmy Dore people as violent because of his cursing, etc.
His rhetoric.
And it was his rhetoric. And it was basically all to say that she was folding, right? Like, she's going to vote for Pelosi. She's going to do what we all expected her to do. Not all of us, but some of us. And it's unfortunate because we put her in there to fight Pelosi and not join her, right?
Absolutely. I mean, why are we even at this point right here? When we first elected these people, we put them in order to do a job. Now, whether you believe in Medicare for all or not, you know what I'm saying? It's long past the time when the left should be out there in front supporting it full-heartedly, and the progressives should have been doing this without the help of Jimmy Dore. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't take a jag-off comedian, who you guys are probably watching in a little bit, in his garage to push people to say, hey, listen, you got to make these public servants work for us, because what it's all about, I mean, we're walking in DC, the Capitol over here, we're walking by the White House, we see people homeless here right now. They have no, medical, any Medicare or any health care, and they're out here getting sick in the middle of the pandemic. So, it's crazy that we're even at this point, but it is kind of cool that we're here in Washington, DC, and we'll cover it and see what happens.
Yeah, it's funny. There's actually a hot air coming from a grate on the ground, and these homeless guys put a canopy over the grate to capture the hot air. And it's like, is that even healthy?
Yeah.
Is that even like,
it's
that's dangerous. What they're doing to stay warm at night here. They're on the side of the streets here. The White House is all the way down that way, and it's been blocked off. You can't get onto that side of the grass like you usually can, which is kind of interesting. What do you guys think about that? Is that Trump he kind of built a wall around the White House? It's kind of interesting.
I think it's not just Trump. I mean, I think it's COVID, but I also think it's also that a lot of these people, politicians, are getting scared because they're seeing that people aren't happy anymore, and they're like, they're kind of seeing what's coming. Let's protect ourselves from really like these angry people. Like, I have seen more people who are not political talk about that $600 isn't enough. Like, and then you start having the small business owners, the restaurant people start saying, hey, what the hell's going on? I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't understand the notion of creating another outside house or compartment or roof that's outside but closing the inside. Isn't like that the same thing? Yes. It's the ventilation, they say. I mean, to me, that just seemed a lot of work. How about we just make people wear masks, social distance, do whatever, but these businesses need to stay alive. And right now we just saw what happened with the 5 lone Democrats that voted against overriding Trump's Medicare for All veto. And it was only 5 of them and Bernie Sanders, and that's it. And then the rest of them, the Democrats, joined the Republicans. In fact, there were more Democrats that wanted to really not give people the $2,000, to really pass the NDAA, and that in itself is scary to me. Well, I say that because it's attached to it, right? Like it's this sort of leverage that they had. But they really are for imperialism. They are for all these things that they say the neocons are for. But then what is the difference? Stop asking us to support the Georgia Senate runoff race for a Democrat if this is how establishment Democrats are going to go. Like, there's just really no point in that. And when AOC starts saying things like, and to be 100% honest, it was hard during this to be targeted, marred as some sellout enemy of the people over a late tactical disagreement over one floor vote. Also a bummer to see figures excuse comments like fuck her or F anyone who protects her. That's not tone, that's violence. Now it is violence for the people to be angry when we're talking about homeless people who are in the streets, who are literally using a vent on the sidewalk as warmth. I'm sorry, but your curse words and your civility and your tone policing go out the window when we see people hurting. Jimmy Dore and others are just expressing the anger of the people that don't have a platform, that don't have a voice, and they're speaking for the voices that aren't being heard right now.
Yeah, and think about listening to that tweet right over there. I mean, the Democrats, even the newer Democrats, the progressives, they just don't know how to play politics over here, right? Yeah. We've talked about it before. Words do matter, you know what I'm saying? Donald Trump has talked about we got to end these endless wars, but yet, you know, he's still going around bombing. He really hasn't brought the war machine home. He looks like he wants to make a little attempt to get some troops home right now, but the words matter, and you got to run with that. He's always said that, we're going to get rid of Obamacare because it's bad, and we're going to get something for everybody that's going to help everybody, whatnot. Now, he hasn't got it done. He hasn't even attempted to get it done. But if the Democrats would have said, okay, and passed Medicare for all on the House floor, you know, how much could they have moved the ball? Then they're going to say, it's in your court, Mr. President. Didn't you say you want health care for all? Well, now we have a discussion. We have how many people in America that are attached. Their employment is attached to their health care. They're out on the streets now. They don't have a job. They don't even have health care. So these Democrats, they don't even know how to play ball when they have an opportunity thrown their way.
Well, something that I've seen online on Twitter, people say is that, you know, even if it passes the House, it gets to the Senate, and it dies, the Medicare for all bill, right? Because McConnell's not going to put it, just like how he didn't put it on the floor for the $2,000 stimulus bill. Yeah. But I mean, it at least try it, right? Yeah. I mean, at least try the effort. Like, when else is the next perfect time to try it? During a pandemic, when people are dying, people are getting contagious with COVID. They're not giving you ivermectin because that's a nice, cheap, generic drug that they're using in third world countries like India and Peru and Brazil. But I don't know. We're just seeing hypocrisy all around. I think the combining of all the bills in one bill is bullshit. That needs to change somehow.
Yeah. The pork had a bill. But you know, with Johnny, what you're saying, it maybe goes in its dead arrival on the Senate, but now the discussion has moved even further. I know you disagree with me because I said, listen, I'm for Medicare for all, but I would settle for the public option. I would settle for something. That's what Dennis Kucinich was fighting for. But if, in fact, we had used the words of the president, and go back to Nancy Pelosi, hey, 10 years ago, you were talking about, was it 15 years ago maybe, you were talking about Medicare for all. 30. You moved the ball, you moved the discussion, you put it in their court and say, okay now, Mr. President, we've got Medicare passed in the House, they're vetoing it in the Senate, what are you going to do about it now? Because it looks like the Democrats want to help people who don't have health care and who are getting thrown out and are losing their jobs. What do you want to do? They can't even do that right.
Yeah, again, Democrats don't use their leverage.
Ever.
The progressives aren't holding them accountable. Now we're fighting about Jimmy Dore's personality, Jimmy Dore's insults, Jimmy Dore is this and that, his house, things that have nothing to do with the issue itself. How you feel about Dore, like we said many, many times, is irrelevant. It's all about how you care about Medicare for all and the push to do it, the exposure that it's had on this whole movement. I mean, people are like, oh, the left is so divided, Jimmy Dore's so toxic. But it's like you're seeing in real time who's really in it for this movement. I'm not saying you have to like Jimmy Dore. I am saying, though, give me a better solution than being out here and demanding a Medicare for all floor vote, than demanding the squad who should never even have voted for Pelosi in the first place withhold their vote for something. We're actually being nice here. We're saying, fine, vote for Pelosi, but only if she does this. And to me, even that is it's, I mean, it's the minimal that they should do. But now all of a sudden we twist this narrative into making it about character assassinations and saying, oh, who is this guy? He doesn't know what he's talking about. And it's a very classist, elitist point of view, like we've talked about before, where it's only these set of boutique progressives that get to really dictate who and what is organizing. I saw organizing today on Force the Vote. People were out there. It wasn't necessarily the biggest thing yet, but guess what? They're coordinating with other issues, and people are coming together. This is the most united I've seen anybody from the Assange group with the Medicare for All group. And then, of course, you have us who are like, yes, and election integrity, because across the board, we look at issues, not exactly, oh, who promotes this issue and who doesn't, because I don't give a damn. It's about the issue itself, and the truth is, again, the truth, no matter where it comes from, right, Pam?
The truth is the truth, no matter who says it. You guys have anything to say on Medicare for All, or do you want to?
On that last note, you mentioned how, Pelosi as Speaker of the House, like, some people were floating the idea that AOC would be Speaker of the House. And she was, at one point, she was like, I'm not ready for that.
Right.
Now, if AOC had actually been the champion for the people who we thought she was going to be, I feel like I would like to see her to step up. Like, let's say AOC was that true, actually, champion of the people that we first began when we saw her, Like, she actually was pushing the Dems left. She actually was telling Pelosi to fuck off and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I would want to see her step up and take that. The fact that she said that she's not ready, I feel like that was like something like a warning to me. But the fact is that she's not the champion of people that was shown.
The champion.
Well, and let me be clear, because people always come up with, well, what did you expect AOC to do? I mean, she just got in there. She's a first-term congresswoman. She literally can't. There's not enough of them, etc. I get these arguments all the time, and I see the point. I mean, I get where you're coming from. But the thing is, every single one that at one point we've deemed progressive has folded in some way. And whether you believe it's them personally or it's the system, it's not working, right? And it doesn't even become personal to me. It's like, okay, that you're caught in a bind. Yes, you can choose to do something. And here's the difference with AOC, especially her. We single her out because she has an immense platform. She has so much influence right now.
Exactly.
And that is very powerful. That is power. She has the Obama type of following that people really look up to her and expect her to do something. And this isn't all on her own, but at the same time, when people are actually in need of their politicians acting, and you have the capacity to say, hey, you know what, everybody show up at Capitol Hill at like 9 a.m. We're going to protest. We're going to demand Speaker Pelosi take this to a floor vote. Yeah. She has 10 million followers on Twitter alone. That can mean something. People would drive everywhere for her. They would form ways to fundraise. They would do whatever it takes. That's the power that she's not using, and that's what Kshama Sawant does at a very local city council level. Now, Kshama Sawant isn't a Democrat, and I have to point that out because she said herself that if she were a Democrat, she didn't feel like she could really have the freedom to do these things. So there goes again. Is that inside-outside strategy working? Well, many say no, not at a federal level. It could possibly work at a local level. I've seen it in our areas with the progressives in LA. Some of them are gaining some traction, but everything they do gets shut down by the Democratic Party and their corruption. So really, what is the solution? Well, I think we need to look outside of electoral politics, and doing things like this, at the very least getting people pumped up for it, is one way to do it, and it shouldn't be knocked down just because we don't like whoever proposed it.
I think we should just start continuing to look and push for independence and just start, they'll say, oh, we'll never be able to win unless you run for Republican or Democrat. Let's just start looking for independents to run to as well, and also make that push and talk about the issues that are important to us, no matter who's on whatever side, whether it be Democrats or Republicans. Another issue that we talked about today, something we're going to be also covering after the Force the Vote activities in the morning. We'll have guest speakers there trying to force these progressives to withhold their vote unless Nancy Pelosi brings Medicare for All to the floor for a vote. After that, we'll be covering another subject that the Democrats have kind of gone away from, don't even pay attention to. Only some libertarians on the right in the Republican Party, and obviously Tulsi on the left, Assange. Outside of the electoral politics, there's been a lot of movements by a lot of great young activists. It's a shame that MSNBC, CNN, all these mainstream media's Fox, they're not covering this right now. It's a group of YouTubers and Rokfiners, whatever you want to call us nowadays, that are out here talking about Julian Assange, who did what? Exposed war criminals, you know what I'm saying, for what they are. Let the people know the truth of what the Democratic Party was doing, and John Podesta and all that stuff. He exposed the Panama Papers, showing oligarchs and elites that run this country, run other countries, putting money off and just gorging and being gluttonous with our resources around the world. That is what this man has done. He hasn't had to retract one story, and yet he's being led to be crucified. Ma'am?
And I mean, this is the biggest press freedom trial of our time. This is important to us specifically because we are censored. We just saw some of our videos. Most of our videos on YouTube hardly get monetized, and it really sucks. And you know, like they steal our money basically is what YouTube does. And so that's why we're divesting and trying to create new platforms. But you know, it's tough. It's tough right now for journalists, for media people, for content creators. And Julian Assange represents not just journalism, but freedom of speech, and also the ever engrossing security state into us, into our private lives, and into having all sorts of control. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's a reality that's happening. And I recommend people read Glenn Greenwald's article on the deep state, where he noticed that people were mocking that term and saying it was a right-wing term. Well, when you define it, because I think some people fail to define it, when you define it, you start figuring out, well, it's specific agencies inside our government, and it's very real. It's been real for a long time. It's just a matter of not just speaking about the deep state, but also identifying what it is and educating people on really what it is. Because what happens with this issue is it's not an immediate concern to many, because it's not rent, and it's not healthcare, and it's not stimulus money. So it seems like, oh, it's just about one guy that's not even an American. Well, no, because everything that we're doing right now, the information that gets to the public, the way the mainstream media is propaganda, depends on how free our speech is and how we protect those who push truth and the actual issues forward. And if we don't have that, all the things that we love and aren't going to be able to really be pushed out there in the way they need to be pushed out there. So again, it's all connected, and I'm excited to be covering this issue and the issue of election integrity as well.
About Assange.
And that's the thing, fam, is that it doesn't directly affect people in their pockets.
Right.
Right now, or anytime soon.
Right.
It will, and more importantly, it's going to affect the psychology and the brains of everybody's in the world and in the U.S. Because guess what? They're going to continue pushing those fake stories. They're going to continue pushing Russiagate. They're going to continue promoting war criminals on CNN and having CIA spooks come and talk on their show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What Julian Assange did was very important, and we gotta get him out of there. We gotta get him out of there. I'm excited to watch the protests. I'm gonna be out there with the pole, out there with everybody, seeing everybody, and we're gonna see what happens on the trial. I hope he does not get extradited.
The definition of what the deep state really is, family, and I'll tell you what it is that it's unelected officials that have been appointed by administrations over the last several decades that make the real decisions, that the ones who really make the decisions when it comes to our foreign policy, what happens around the globe. So it does affect us in our pockets at home, because if they're spending all this money for war and they want to maintain our monetary system, that means we get less. That's the biggest budget out there right now. I mean, literally, the Democrats who in the House overrode the veto of the NDAA. Just think about that. The war budget. That's the Democratic Party. I mean, the Republicans were along with it. And who was it again? A bunch of libertarians who don't want to go to spend a lot of money on the military, don't want regime change, a few Democrats. And that is when the squad actually made some good decisions. They voted against the veto. All the squad members, Rokfin, even Jimmy Gomez got on that one too, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes they're playing politics because they know it's going to go through. Or it's you know what I'm saying? So therefore they understand that their vote means nothing. It's just a symbolic vote. They really didn't get out there, campaign, and get people out there to bring awareness to what's going on and how they are sucking us dry. And putting people away like Julian Assange keeps their game going, because he exposes him for what they are and what they do. And it's just a shame that he's locked up. But that's Julian Assange. And the third thing we're going to follow, fam, I'm crazy about election integrity. Breaking news not too long ago. 10 other senators are now joining Josh Hawley on the 6th in a couple of days in objecting the results of the election, and are going to demand a 10-day emergency audit. Now, I don't know if they're going to get it, fam. There's 140 congressmen in the House now. They're going to object to these results. There's more information pouring on. The hearings right now were really on fire. We saw what happened in Georgia. It's really taking place. A lot of Trump people are calling their congressmen and saying, hey, you got to stop this right now. You got to do what you got to do to stop this. And I'm projecting, I'm telling you now, close to 100,000 people out here. And you're tell me I'm right or wrong, fam. I'm saying there's going to be 100,000 people out here on the 6th.
I don't know. That seems like a lot of people. I mean, what, they got like at least maybe 10 grand last time. Maybe they'll get a few more, maybe 3 times more.
Yeah.
100,000 people is a lot. I would love to see 100,000 people out for election integrity. Even if I don't agree with their ideology, I care about election integrity. That's the thing. Like, you know, it's really, to me, what's happening right now is actually really important. We're seeing people come out of here for Medicare for all, to force the vote. We're seeing people be pissed about the stimulus. We're seeing people come out in support of Julian Assange. And then on the opposite side of the spectrum, we're seeing people come out for election integrity. And all of these different causes are getting screwed by the system, by the oligarchy. And they need to realize that quickly. Like, you need to realize you can be okay with somebody on one issue and work together on that issue. That is something that you can do if you do it carefully. You don't have to sell out your values, or change your ideology to do that. And so when we're talking about covering these events, to me, it just shows that we're at a critical point here, a turning point, where I think people are realizing finally that we are all getting screwed. Now, the thing is, not everybody agrees on how to go about it. Some people want to go through electoral reform, while the rest of the people really just want to do a mix of both. And then some people are saying no more electoralism until we actually do these direct actions and occupy and take these, divest our money, shut down the economy, that sort of thing. Try to become self-dependent, find new ways of living. And so all of these different tactics are what's the divide and how we achieve these things. And ultimately, in my opinion, I don't see electoralism being moved first. I think we need to push for that electoralism to happen. I think it has to happen, but I think it's not going to happen without the people pushing it, because these politicians don't represent us, right? So how can you push when you have no leverage? How can you push when you give up your leverage and you have no power? You have to create that power from the outside. And so that's, I think, one of the key things that I'm seeing, fam, with the election integrity issue is that it is tied to everything else. And all these issues are tied. And we need to see how we can make those connections with these people as we talk to them throughout the days. Like, what do you think as a person for Julian Assange about single-payer health, and vice versa? What, as a person with single-payer health, do you know about Julian Assange? Do you care about election integrity? Do you believe Bernie was cheated? Now, what about Trump? I mean, we need to really be asking these questions.
This is a moment, too, of being just so proud and stuff like that. I got to really highlight Johnny's work right now, because in the Georgia hearing, Jovan Pulitzer proved that there is no air gap, that they're connected to the internet and they can be controlled remotely, the numbers, whatnot. Johnny goes on the guy in New Hampshire, got to talk about the SIM card, also pointed out Ethernet cable in the California room, John. What do you think about everything that's going on with these election integrity stuff?
I mean, it's just all coming out. I mean, how can you trust the elections? Anyone who doubts the elections, go to your local elections office and go see how the elections are run. You'll see for yourself that there's going to be a lack of transparency. There's going to be a lack of seeing how the machines work, unless you're in that small ass town in New Hampshire where it was hand counted ballots in a wooden box, and there was 8 people voting. We went and saw.
Or in the Las Vegas caucus.
Hart's location, right? Hart's location.
Yeah, Hart's location, that's what it was. But on the other point, Pasa, you mentioned that Holly was going to get with 10 Congress?
Senators. There's 11 Republican senators are now going to object to the results of the election on November 3rd, and they're going to demand, this is on January 6th, they're going to do this, a 10-day emergency audit. And they're talking about everything, forensic, all the paperwork, making sure they check all the work, go through everything, make sure it all adds up. And like I said, if they get that audit, if they do, and I don't know if they will, but if they did, I would bet my left pinky that they would show just so many bad, awful things. And there's certain things that can come out of this. They can disqualify so many ballots to give the election to Trump in the states if they flip it, or they might say, all right, we have enough confusion here and enough that we see it wasn't done right. Let's do a do-over in these 5 or 6 contested states. And who knows what's up for grabs. So, I mean, this is uncharted territory. This is crazy. And this is so surreal, Johnny and V, because I thought I'd be doing this for Bernie Sanders. I'm doing it for Trump.
Yeah, and that's the thing I wanted to say is that I thought, Bernie should have been leading this thing. And now we have Trump kind of leading it. But this is where I disagree with Pasta. I think that too many people in the establishment do not want to uncover the truth about election integrity, because it would just dismiss the belief in the system. People would be like, holy crap, like if my vote doesn't count, then what the hell, what else are they lying about? I think voting is one of the things that people still do, because they still, in the back of their mind, they go, it matters. And if we find out that our elections for sure 100% are 100% rigged, and they show you every evidence that you ever wanted to know, well, that the belief in the order, in the system, in the matrix will just fall apart. And I just think there are too many people on Trump's side who aren't really here for that. And maybe Trump himself isn't necessarily serious. I don't know. But I think the more important issue is that the people realize that no matter whether he, Bernie, or anybody is pushing it, no matter whether it's now or later, this is an issue we have to fight for. We need to have transparency in our elections, period, across the board, and we don't have that.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of Trump's associates are actually turning on him.
Yeah.
It looks like he's got no friends in D.C. What I wanted to ask Pasta about the senators was that, well, in January 6th, it's going to be all the new senators and congresspeople, right? So maybe there will be some new voters added, or some new congresspeople or senators who will get added to that list, you know what I'm saying? Because Tulsi will be out of the House, right?
Yes, in the House. I don't know if there's any new senators. Were there any new senators?
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, wait. Will Pete Dia be there for Kamala Harris? Oh my God! An election integrity.
He's accused.
He's got lawsuits.
No, he's got a couple lawsuits.
Yeah. So listen, it's going to be interesting because in the Senate, it's going to be all the same people. Ted Cruz is going to lead the way. But here's the thing, Johnny. What Fiorella said, and this is my saving grace. For us, it's an opportunity to educate people on the framework and get them on the ball. No matter what Trump has done, he's provided us a lane where people's attention are like, our elections are screwed, our boy got screwed, so we have to switch it to, hey, listen, this is the framework. This is what we got to work on. We got to eliminate ballot harvesting. We got to make sure that there's no suppression at the polls and that it's very mellifluous. We got to get rid of proprietary software, whether it be Hugo Chavez or the guy in Florida who asked Clint Curbins. We can't have any proprietary software. So we got to educate people now, and that's the opportunity the lane's provided. Now, listen, I still think, fam, maybe he is a maverick. He's an outside guy, a maverick, whatever. He's the great devastator, whatever you want to call him or whatever. But maybe there is a situation where something does come of this and we do get in there and we realize our elections. And if that does happen, then we got to go back and start looking at all the other elections. We have to start paying attention to the data analysis, the mathematicians, and start just opening stuff up and saying what's going on. Nancy Pelosi, your next election is going to be put under a microphone. If that does happen, it will be a snowball effect. So that's what I'm hoping for. Either way, I think it's up to us. We know what elections are like. We follow them. We know how the framework is. It's up to us to make sure that we get real reform. What's that?
Well, what Trump needs to do is get in contact with Raji Robb and elevate his case. Because Raji Robb's case is one of the most legitimate cases I've come across. Even taking a look at some of these Trump cases, Trump lawsuits, he's right there. That he just needs the motion to compel from the judge to look at the logs, which doesn't have any voter information, just has who changed what at the exact same time, at the exact time, what happened. You know, that's what it tells you. So I think on the 6th, Raji is also having that hearing.
Yes.
We're going to cover it. I'm going to try and cover it, and we're going to see what happens.
I mean, transparency. That's the thing. Trump is contesting the 6 states. There's so much going on right now. They've been playing catch up the whole time. I've just been praying that their ideology doesn't get in the way. You know, Sidney Powell talking about Chavez. We talked to Clint Curtis. Just watch the Convo Couch, Sidney. You'll see that the 3 years or 4 years before that, there was already somebody approaching saying, hey, can you make a machine? Can you make me a software that flips votes? That stuff has been going on. It's by all our systems, ES&S, ART, Smartmatic, Dominion. They all do it. And we have to get our mind off. Get your mind off the ideology. Get it onto the actual framework. Let's get it changed. Let's get rid of the proprietary software in these public-funded, elections. So, I mean, and there are people who are really blowing it, like Lynn Wood right now. Just shut up, Lynn.
Yeah.
Shut up, man. The guy said he was the second coming of Jesus or some shit to one of his lawyers. He's ruined it, but, we'll see what happens. Uncharted territory. There's a lot of information out there, and let's just educate. I wish more people on the left would get with this.
I agree. And just to wrap it up, I just want to say that, there's a Russiagate boogeyman coming from the Democrats. You'll see even the election integrity activists say, oh, Russia hacked our elections. By the same token, you'll see the election integrity activists on the right, oh, China, oh, Hugo Chavez, Venezuela, they hacked our elections. The reality is those two things are distractions to keep you from understanding that our own government is doing
this exactly
across the board, and the rest is distraction. And so what we have to do is get to the truth, find as many people, statisticians, analysts, people who literally know software. That's what we did. That's who we've interviewed regarding election integrity. And we have to move past it. And it's also telling that right now we don't have WikiLeaks to tell us how corrupt this election was, right? Like we did in 2016. We don't have WikiLeaks to be there saying, "Ooh, let's look at the money that Nancy Pelosi took from the healthcare industry, and which Democrats took all these, like to really dig deep." Julian Assange is now in prison, right? And so all of these things are connected, because when we don't have the vast majority of the power in the fourth estate, what was supposed to be the fourth estate, then we lose. And so again, there's that connection that every single thing is important, and these are the issues that we're fighting for, and we will bring you as much attention, as much information to this as possible.
So that's it here from Washington, D.C., live at the Capitol with Jonny Tsunami. Peace. Fiorella Isabel.
Convo.
Oh, man, I'm going to do a little Johnny off the books thing here real quick.
Johnny off the books.
Johnny off the books.
We're good?
I'm going to panning over to the White House rear. So there's a monument. There's the new museum. There's the White House. They were not letting people in before, and now they are. So there's the White House. We're going to try and get over there and see what happens. Anyways, peace out, everybody.